Mind Morph with Mystikal-Lee, talking about all kinds of topics from kitchen talk to taboo, mixed with underground music features from my Bandlab platform too. A shout out to Bandlab billboards. Welcome to Mind Morph with Mystikal-Lee's music section with Bandlab members. This is the part where I give shout outs to the underground artists that are making their music in their bedrooms, at home, independent, without any of the record labels dipping their hands into the artist's pockets. So, thanks for joining me on the new Mind Morph. Used to be called Mind Morph with Jessie Lee. And now I have decided to go ahead and take Mind Morph with Jessie Lee and mix it with my music podcasting that I was attempting to do in the past, and just kind of make an entire show. So here we are, and we're going to make the first segment of my show every time be the music segment. So here we are with the music. You're looking at my playlist right now down there. And what I'm going to basically be doing is I am going to pick 5 songs every month and showcase them at the beginning of the show for the Bandlab billboards, and basically let Bandlab billboards know, hey, I think these guys are overlooked, or this song is overlooked, and I really think you need to play it. So, here we go. The first one is called Rain, and it's by Mad For It and Daltonus. And I really enjoyed hearing this one. I think you guys will too. Let me turn the volume up a little bit. There we go. And get ready.
Gotta switch it up, gotta try something different. Love's a novelty, and it's what I've been missing. Let the fire rain down. It's gonna be hell when I'm around. Gotta switch it up, gotta try something different. Love's a novelty, and it's what I've been missing. Let the fire rain down. It's gonna be hell when I'm around. Rams on me stuff, I don't know what to say, but it's okay. And I let it down every single day, but I keep going. Gotta keep my feet in motion while I'm open. Find another way. Can't stop, and I gotta stay around. With my feet on the ground, while I listen for the sound. What will it be when the fire rains down on top of me? I feel the fire burn. I feel it tear my soul away. Gotta switch it up, gotta try something different. Love's a novelty, and it's what I've been missing. Let the fire rain down. It's gonna be hell when I'm around. Gotta switch it up, gotta try something different. Love's a novelty, and it's what I've been missing. Let the fire rain down. It's gonna be hell when I'm around. Feel the fire burn inside me. Let it rain down on us. What's the point? I'm trying so hard to let it go and bring you back to the start. This isn't who I am. This isn't who I was born to be. But I see that this is where I'm sent. That I can't live this misery. Can't stop, and I gotta stay around. With my feet on the ground, while I listen for the sound. What will it be when the fire rains down on top
right. Let that fire rain down. All right, y'all. So, that was Madfort and Daltonus with Rain. I don't know. I listen to that and I get some chills up on my scalp here. I identify with its mood a lot. And when I first heard it, it got me really reflective and contemplative. And I started just thinking about my past. And I don't know. It evoked a lot of emotions of... Some of it was regret. Some of it was bittersweet. But all of it was very surreal. And me personally, if music doesn't make me feel deeply, I don't want to listen to it. If I can't relate on that deeper level of emotion rather than surface things like cars and money, then music doesn't do anything for me. So that song, it relates on that deep level. And if you want to get up on my show and get your stuff heard, your stuff is going to have some sort of a message to it, just to let y'all know. Don't think that I'm looking for all clean music. I'm not. But I am looking for something that reflects and that is really relatable on an emotional level. So just to let y'all know, if you're looking to get up on the show and get your stuff heard, make some music that a person can relate to emotionally, and you're more than likely going to get in my sights. Alright, so the next one is by Allison Malibu, and it's called Hurt Me. I'm going to go to the details of it. I really like her her album cover, The Broken Glass. It reminds me of a picture I'd seen a while back when I was looking for like broken clocks to make some sort of a digital piece with, and it was a broken, smashed clock with a glass face, and it looked just like that. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that brings back a memory. Here we go.
Driving down the coast to you, it'll be a surprise, I said. And my love fell on the marble tiles, and you're the only one in your bed. Is this why you've been acting off lately? I've totally misread. When you grabbed your coat and ran outside, I yelled, walk away, go ahead. The heart glass is broken, bottles on the floor. Swimming to the day you walked out of the door. There is no morning, one thing I know for sure. Don't want your apology.
Again, another emotionally hitting song for me. That's 2 in a row, y'all. Y'all are doing really well here. The next one is called Ashes to Ashes by Zoda in God Tier Fans 1. And then there's other people in this project. And of course, as you've been able to see, I've been pulling up the little profile areas for you so you can see if, there's other collaborators and pulling up their profiles and all that for you. So here we go. Alright, y'all, that's just an instrumental, so I'm not going to play it all the way through. But I felt that it was a great instrumental, personally, and I forgot to turn the camera back on my face, y'all. So, I put it up in here because, most of the time I'm going to more than likely use songs in the show that have lyrics. But if your instrumental really gets me, and I feel, again, an emotional connection to it, I will put it on the show. I won't play the whole thing, especially if it's just a beat track that you would want other lyricists to hop on. But if it's a straight up instrumental that, progresses through, I may play the whole thing. Ethan Foy on Bandlab has a lot of instrumentals like that where they continue to build through and they're made specifically just for listening. And I will play his stuff full on right through. So just to let y'all know, I know that I'm doing a lot of time here talking about what I'm looking for the show. But since this is the comeback show and it's the first time I'm blending everything, I thought I'd get that out of the way on this one. And that way, I don't have to repeat myself on the future shows. So, yeah. This instrumental, it got me. There's the tones of dun 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 dun. Something about those tones, they get me feeling emotional. So it struck some emotional chords. This next one's a bit explicit, but Con Artist is, in my opinion, a really great rapper. He flows really well, and I gotta say, I feel like this next song coming up by Con Artist, in my opinion, again, because you all know what I'm looking for when it comes to music, in my opinion, this is one of the better songs that he's made. It hits home, it talks about some hard shit, but it's also telling you to stay positive. So take a listen, see what you think.
If I do man. Yeah, I know. Just gotta try to push it out of your head, you know what I'm saying? Don't pay no mind to it. Realize just because you have them doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a real one. And you will beat them. Yeah. Just got to. Push them out of your head, just gotta keep going and rowing the boat. Pay no mind to the waves ahead, cause they'll be rocky. Just gotta knock them the contrary like Balboa. A cobra attacking the damn rap that's been mocking you. A cocky fool never wins in the end. Your heads get too big and they float away out of the atmosphere. Suffocate from the lack of fear. It's the real ones that make it for real. The real ones that stay for the killing are the ones killing. The fake ones will always be the one killed. Just cause you see someone ahead of you doesn't mean they didn't cheat their way past you. That means they'll have an illegitimate finish, so fuck who cares. That just means they're striding along for no reason, cause in the end it won't make no difference. It's a struggle that makes you stronger. Gotta get knocked down before you wrestle the monster. Your mind's full of voices that are trying to stop you, and it can be hard to silence them. I get that, probably won't ever be able to, but that's why you gotta keep going to prove them wrong, cause a lot of the time the voices we hear are really just us doubting ourselves. And please remember, it's okay to get help. Sometimes we just need someone else to remind us we're strong, cause sometimes when you're too close to the canvas, you don't always see the full picture. Too busy pointing out flaws to realize that's what gives it character. And who gives a fuck if someone stares at you? Just means you're interesting. I mean, you're having a good time, negativity may try to intervene. That's why you slam the door in his face and keep striving. Keep fighting the negative vibes, stop hiding. You're stronger than your demons, I'm positive. All the conflict you encounter is what empowers you. Devour the doubters and shit them out. It'll help you feel lighter, a fire you can't put out. You're a blaze of phenomenon, an atomic fire, maybe with a slaughter and onslaught of whatever you stumble upon. Beyond the imaginable, unfathomable amount of success awaits you at the gates. Greatness takes place within you. I'm positive. Yeah, push out the negativity. You just gotta be positive.
Yeah. Right on, right on. So, con artist, if I had a hat, it'd be off to you. My hair is gone, so my hair is off to you, con artist. Also, shout out to you. Thank you for being my number one fan on my top 5 fans list this year on Bandlab for my 2020 recap. You were number one, con artist, number one. Thank you, bro. All right, moving on to Madam Z. Last but definitely not least, Madam Z does another podcast. She's probably going to be taking a sabbatical soon. It's called Sundays with Z. You can find that on YouTube. And she's also doing kind of the same thing that I am. I'm actually taking a lesson from her and cutting songs a little early sometimes here. She taught me that. She doesn't know, but now she does. Thank you, madam. And she is, oh my God, she has got so much energy. She'll tell you differently. She'll say, I'm always feeling tired. But I'm telling you, outside perspective, even though she may feel inside like she's always tired, what she puts out to the world for you to see, for me to see, we hear that she's tired, she says it, but we can't see it. She is so great at masking what's really going on inside of her to bring positivity, to bring support, to bring friendship to the platform, to life. And she's been a really big inspiration to me. She only knows that as of recently, but she doesn't realize that I've been watching all this time for the whole last year that I've been doing music. I've been watching in the background what she does, and she's one of the people that helps keep me going back to the platform and continue to try, even though sometimes I'm not feeling it. She helps me push past those I'm not feeling it moments when I watch her podcasts. And she admits in that moment, I'm not feeling this, guys, but we're going to do it. And she does it with like 1,000,000% energy. And thank you. Madam Z. Thank you. You don't know what kind of an impact that you're making, and you're making a big one. This song is called Dark History by Madam Z. And she has worked with a few different people on here. The M Project made the backtracking to this song. She had originally done it as an acapella. I've noticed that I might be wrong, Madam Z. Correct me in the comments if I am, but it seems to me that the majority of the time that Madam Z does music, she does a cappella tracks with no backtracking. And then I've noticed M Project do this a few times where they will take her a cappella vocals and they'll build a track around them. And they always just sound really amazing. So M Project's on this. Steve 2K2 and Back on Track, and you'll see their profiles too as I play the song. I'll flip through and let you guys see it. Here we go.
Perhaps perpetual
Right on, Madam Z. Right on. Great job, M Project. Steve 2K2. Back on track. Y'all rock. You made her sound amazing. She always sounds amazing. But you gave her vocals a backdrop. So, thank you everybody for helping Madam Z. Madam Z, thank you for being an inspiration to me. I appreciate you. Love you, sis. Alright, guys, so that wraps up the music portion of this podcast. Bandlab billboards. If you're looking for where these links are, I have a collection set up. Mine Morph with Mystikal-Lee. Just look in my collection, and you'll find these 5 songs. I'm gonna leave them up for you guys until around the end of the 3rd week of January, and around that last week of January, I'm going to be starting to revamp that collection again with the next 5 songs for February. So Bandlab billboards, just keep coming back to that collection. It'll be cleared out with new stuff in it if you're sifting and looking for new stuff to put up on your charts. All right. Peace. On to the news.
Out there. In fact, well, there's actually tens of thousands, but one that's been on the news, and he blew my mind on Fox just recently. Check out Dr. Shukrit Bhakti on Ingram Angle. Take a look at this.
For all these policies, lockdowns, social distancing, which in your...
Okay, so guys, here we go. This is about the new vaccine, and I'm watching this right now for the first time. And we're gonna go with, we're gonna see what's going on here. This guy is very adamant against Dr. Fauci. And he's got some pretty interesting things to say, guys. So, let's hear him out.
View has been the most injurious to the public and not suited to the science.
The looming vaccination.
Tonight.
So, she's just asked him, out of all the things for this COVID craze that we're in, be it the lockdowns, the masks, the social distancing, she's just asked him what he thinks has been what has had the worst impact. She says injurious, and there might be a lot of people out there that didn't quite hear that. So she's basically asking, what part of all of these things that we've been doing, what part does he think has been the worst on us? What has mostly adversely affected us? Vaccine. The vaccine is his answer. Let's find out why, guys.
Anthony Fauci on this network actually said that 75% of Americans are going to have to get vaccinated to reach what they call herd immunity. Do you buy that?
What utter nonsense. Someone who says this has not the slightest inkling of the basics of immunology. And this is very, very surprising for someone of Dr. Fauci's standing. And I would dare to defy him anywhere in the world, at any time. But I cannot do this in 2 minutes.
And that's all they can.
Well, so you believe that the COVID vaccine is not necessary?
I think it's downright dangerous. And I warn you, if you go along these lines, you are going to go to your doom.
Whoa. Those are heavy words from a scientist on Fox News. But once again, I am not Fox News. I am not MSNBC. We are not CNN. We are the High Wire. So guess what? I've got Dr. Shukrit Bhakti joining me now, and I'm not going to make him say it in 2 minutes. For those of you that really want...
Not in 2 minutes. Yes. Are we ready for this? I'm gonna put myself right directly in the middle of them. This sounds like fun. I'm gonna play tennis ball.
Want to know what a virologist and award-winning researcher has to say about this. Why don't we ask him? Dr. Shukrit Bhakti, I want to thank you again for joining us once again and taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I want to begin this conversation just for those people that should ask the obvious question. Are you anti-vaccine?
It's not. I'm pro-vaccine. I have been teaching this for 30 years, and one of the first things I tell my students is that the vaccines that work against tetanus, against diphtheria, against polio, are being a godsend. And you have to try to understand how they work, and then you have to use them. But if a toxin is doomed to fail and doomed to claim lives and claim of people, you have to do everything to stop it. And this is the case with this damn COVID vaccine.
You know, and for those...
Whoa, okay. Alright, so looks like we're hearing this from a different perspective right now. So, we have a lot of people that are telling us, don't get the vaccine. Don't get the vaccine. But they're all very anti-vaccine people. I'm an anti-vaccine person. I'm not gonna lie, okay? And there might be a lot of you who hate me for saying that. And I'm really sorry, but to each his own. Ever since I stopped taking big pharma medication and stopped doing vaccines, my health has improved like 1,000%. I can't even begin to describe how much better I actually feel not taking over-the-counter cold medicines when I catch a sniffle or something. Because I feel like my immune system is no longer dependent on big pharma's stuff in order to get better. I've actually built my immune system up. And yeah, you know, it takes getting around bacteria. It takes getting around a virus. You got to do that to build an immunity. Quarantining, keeping yourself the boy in the bubble doesn't work, guys. I'm sorry. I come from an era where it's like, so-and-so next door's got the chicken pox, get dressed, you're gonna go play with them. Needless to say, I didn't get chicken pox for a very long time. My mom wasn't quite scared of the chicken pox, at least not in my opinion, since she made me get dressed to go play with people who had chicken pox. So I wasn't raised fearing disease. I wasn't raised fearing the chicken pox. I didn't get the chicken pox until I got around a person who actually was scared about chicken pox. So go figure. What if all of our illnesses are psychosomatic? What if? For real, guys, what if? Have you ever asked yourselves, are we all just hypochondriacs? Are we all psychosomatically sick? This guy right here, he's about vaccines. He's all pro-vaccine. Teaching it for 30 years, guys. And this guy here says no to the COVID vaccine. Who are you going to listen to? If you won't listen to the people that are against vaccines like myself, will you at least listen to a person who backs taking vaccines, who teaches about vaccines, who has done so for 30 years? And if this person who is pro-vaccine says no, it's dangerous, are you still going to go get that vaccine? I want to know. Hit me below in these comments.
people that watch the show, we cover it all, right? I mean, I know that those of you that are out there that are like, I want vaccines wiped off the face of the planet, you watch the show. But for those of you that believe in vaccines, I want you watching the show. The information is for everybody. I want everybody to understand from whatever perspective you're coming from. What we're talking about is a scientist here that doesn't just generally decide to, say this vaccine is dangerous, has a belief in the process and the use of them. So let me ask you more specifically then. What is it about this vaccine that is not fitting?
Everything I just told you guys. He just literally said everything I just told you. And I swear, I didn't watch this video first. I must be onto something. So let's finish watching this. We've still got quite a few more.
Into the category of those vaccines you would normally celebrate. What is it that scares you about this vaccine?
Well, first of all, in order for a vaccine to pass the scrutiny of the authorities like the FDA or the European authorities, it has to be shown to be efficacious and to protect. All right, if you get tetanus, if 100 people get tetanus.
Okay, I like where he's going. So these tetanus shots, typhoid vaccines, things like that. These vaccines, yes, I'm very anti-vaccine, but these vaccines have been tested, tried, and supposedly true, okay? But the main point is, guys, they've been tested. They have gone through years, guys, years of rigorous, controlled testing studies. Rigorous. Years. I'm going to repeat it. Rigorous. Years of rigorous testing. All right. Broken record done. Now look, here it is. COVID vaccine. Y'all want to go and jump out there and get it, right? You're all freaking scared. Y'all want to stop wearing your masks. Okay, here we go. That vaccine has not been tested. It is not tried and true. It does not have years of rigorous results backing it. And you're going to run out to get the next dirty drug.
90 are going to die, all right, if they're not vaccinated. But if they're vaccinated, no one will die. Now that is efficaciousness. That is efficacy. Similar for diphtheria, all right? Now, in the case of COVID-19, if you are under 70 and you get the virus, your chances of dying are less than 0.1%. This is now...
And actually, guys, for people like me, and you may not know this, but I have COPD. That makes me an at-risk patient. For people like me, the chances are supposed to be higher. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I did the research, and the chances are only 0.02% higher. 0.02% higher than a healthy person. Come on, guys. Seriously? We've had the flu, which is basically the same thing, for years, millennia. I don't see anybody scrambling to get a mask on when people have got the flu. And the flu, technically, is just as dangerous for some people who have immune problems. Anything can be just as dangerous for people with immunity problems. But you know what the most dangerous thing is? Stinking thinking. Stinking thinking is what is getting every one of you sick. You're not getting sick from COVID. They're labeling it COVID. You got the flu shot, you're testing positive for COVID. Guess what? no such thing. All it is the flu. All it is the common cold. They just so happen to put a new spin and name on it. And actually, it's not a new name. This is a name they've kept under wraps for a long time, but has been in their scientific journals forever. This is why Gates already knew and was pushing for a vaccine, because COVID is nothing new. COVID is just a different name you haven't heard yet.
Internationally acknowledged, and John Ioannidis, one of the foremost epidemiologists in the world of Stanford, has published this, and this has appeared on the bulletin of the WHO in October. So anyone who doubts this is doubting a world authority, and this is impossible. The fact is that you are virtually not able to die if you are under 70 and have no serious pre-existing illness. All right, so now, how in the world are you going to prove that a vaccine is efficacious if you can't prove protection against severe illness and death? And in fact, this is what has not been done, and therefore this vaccine must not be authorized. It must not be, the FDA is not allowed to pass it. It's not doing its job. You know, there has recently been a very, very good article in the British Medical Journal addressing this very issue. And the title of the paper is, Will COVID-19 Vaccines Save Lives? Current trials are not designed to tell us.
Really?
So if they're not designed to tell us, and they haven't told us this, what are we talking about?
Great.
Okay, guys. Again, I'm going to ask you. You really want to run out and get this vaccine?
You see,
Point.
the
So
only...
right. This is not efficacious. You cannot prove it being efficacious. And I think mathematically, I mean, just from, and I'm not like a mathematical genius, but in order to prove that the vaccine performs better than nature, you're going to have to prove that you can raise that mortality rate from the, 0.02%, or depending on what group you're in. I mean, we're talking about 99.97%, or in youth, 99.997% survive it. How do you prove a vaccine is able to affect that 0.003%? I mean, you'd have to vaccinate millions, right, to ever even see if you have it be efficacious, and then it would be questionable.
I think, Adele, that anyone who's watching us now has to realize that
Or at least we hope.
the permission to use this vaccine is criminal. To give permission to use this vaccine is criminal. First of all right, and I dare to say this in front of any audience in the world and before any court in the world. And I tell you that this is being taken to court in Europe in any way. Now, you see, if you want to protect the elderly with pre-existing illness who are at danger, really at danger, if they're not correctly, as Dr. Zelenko just said in his beautiful and his so impressive interview, with agents that are so safe and so easy to use and so efficacious. Now, if you want to use a vaccine instead of hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin, then okay, it's going to be much, much more expensive. But if it is as good, all right. And if someone prefers to have a shot instead of having hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, also okay. But before you do this, you better go and show that this vaccine is tolerated by the patients and is efficacious. And this, of course, has never even been looked at. It's never been thought about what the people are going to do.
Okay. Right there. That statement. The fact that they haven't even looked at this as part of the criteria. I have two emotions right now. One, I honestly want to throw my phone and break it and wish that I was breaking the media at that point. Okay? And two, I want to cry. Because that means that the people in charge of us, you and me, your children, your grandparents, your parents, the people in charge. And by the way, who the hell put them in charge? I know I didn't give it permission. How many of you did? Thing is that these people that we have that are supposedly our authoritarians, our government, they don't have any of our best interest at heart. Only theirs. They're the 1%, remember? Remember that? Remember long ago that 1% versus the 99%? They took all of your eyes off of that, didn't they? They put it on race wars, COVID, Trump. And y'all forgot what was really happening. Depopulation agenda. They don't have your best interest at heart. That's why they haven't tested any of this. They just want to see as many people as they can pass away, so that what resources we have left in this world, left, and that's basically because they're hoarding it. What resources we have left in this world, they want to keep to themselves, and they really actually believe that if we're all on this planet, they're going to die. When in fact, they're the ones making everyone else die. Either by keeping people too poor to properly feed themselves with the right nutrition, not being able to afford food that's correct for you because they inflate the prices to prices that only they can actually afford. I don't have to keep going. I don't have to keep going. Let's let him keep going.
Use these vaccines that have not been tested and have not been certified, without dangerous side effects. Again, what is happening is that the world is being turned into an animal experiment house. It's not even a house, it's our world. And you and our children are being the animals that are being tested. The hugest experiment ever been done in the history of medicine is being performed on men, on people. This is the thing that is so scandalous, and so horrifying that any politicians want to go for this, that any authorities, any medical people will say this is the right way to go, is such a frightening, horrifying thought to me as a doctor.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Bhakti. Let's say, we were able to catapult you into, a powerful position in the White House, the United States of America, or, Parliament, and say, Dr. Bhakti, you're in charge of establishing both efficacy and safety. But let's put efficacy aside for the moment. I think that would be very difficult, would take millions. But what would you need to see in order, what would you be looking for? What trials would need to be done for you to sign off and say, I like the COVID-19 vaccine, it's safe, you should go out and get it? What processes need to happen in your mind, and what are your greatest concerns that you would want to be testing for?
Well, to tell the truth, I would never, ever
Okay, honestly, before we get going with what he has to say, I think it's a very interesting question that guy just asked him. Because, personally, I don't know about any of you, but there have been a lot of things that, I've gone around pointing my finger at. But the problem is that a lot of the times when we do this, I don't know if we really ever sit down and think long and hard about how it needs to be done differently. What kind of a solution can we bring to the table? Instead of just pointing the finger saying we don't like this, or we're scared of it, or it ain't right. We all know it ain't right. But what solutions could we offer up instead? And so his question to this guy, I find it's very interesting that he's asking it, and I'm looking forward to hearing what this guy has to say, because he's obviously been thinking long and hard about this, and so he obviously should have a good answer to defend the position he has. Let's see what he has to say.
Put my bet on a vaccine against COVID-19 because I know that it's bound to fail. Now, why do I know this? You see, the idea about our immune system works against viruses is very fuzzy. Who knows about this? We took great pains to write a chapter in our book that explains immunity against viruses for you, because this is something that Fauci himself does not understand, or at least it doesn't seem to understand, because what he's saying reveals to us that he doesn't know about this, and this is too bad. So my hope is that some of you will pick up this book, read that chapter, and lo and behold, in 2 hours you will know more than Fauci, which I think is a great thought, isn't it? You will know more than he does. So, first of all, look, I'll try to explain this in very easy words, if I have the time to. All right.
Okay, so honestly, without ever having read that passage, I kind of already feel like I do know more than Fauci. And I'm a high school dropout. Just thought I'd add that. And so, if any of you guys out there feel like you might know more than Fauci, guess what? You might know more than Fauci.
Fauci, this is the virus, all right? This is the antibody. You need your antibodies to catch the virus, so the virus can't enter your cell. My head is the cell, all right? So, if you don't have antibodies, the virus will enter your head, it'll be multiplied in your head, it will come out again, and then infect the next heads around us, okay? And that's it, then you're dead. And therefore, he wants herd immunity. He wants people vaccinated, so that 75% of the people running around have antibodies, will catch the virus in time, and so the infection cannot go to your head. But this is extremely naive, you see, because what Fauci obviously does not know is that the interaction of the antibody and the virus is a one-to-one thing. It's like a football team, okay? You have one guy and he catches the others, but both are then caught. The antibody is caught. Now, what happens, dear Mr. Fauci, when a second virus comes by and the first antibody has been caught in combat, because that antibody can't free itself. Once it's bound, it's bound. The simple answer is the wall of antibodies is going to be overrun by the opponents. Do you understand? Have I made myself clear? It's a matter of dose. If the viral load is high, you can have these antibodies in your blood. They will not prevent the infection. And that is why there is no real proof that any virus that enters by the airway can be prevented from entering the cells that it wants to infect, which are the cells lining the airway epithelium, because there simply are not enough viruses and not enough antibodies to stop those viruses. And therefore, you are going to get that virus in your cell. Now, what people obviously do not know, including, is that once the virus has entered the cell and multiplied so that you get ill, now you get your cough, you get your fever, and if Dr. Zelenko is not around to give you chloroquine, it'll get worse and worse and worse. True, but even people who did not get hydroxychloroquine, did not get ivermectin, got well again. How did that happen? It happened because, you see, once a virus is being produced in your cell, my head is the cell, while it's being produced, waste products are created. It's like a house. When you build a house, you have these waste products coming down that you throw away, okay? You garbage. So the cell puts these waste products in front of its door. Now, my glasses are the waste products of the virus. So new viruses come out, but the waste products are presented in front of the door. Now, every one of you has lymphocytes. And among these lymphocytes, you have killer lymphocytes. Killer lymphocytes are white blood cells in your blood, in your spleen, in your lymph, that are able to recognize these waste products that are presented in front of the door. And when the patrol comes along and sees that there's a waste product in front of the door, the killer lymphocyte says, something wrong is going on, guys, let's go. And then they approach the cell, and then there's this kiss of death. The kiss of death kills the cell. And with that, tree is destroyed, the fire is extinguished, the virus is no longer produced in your cell, and then something wonderful happens. You see, a killer lymphocyte then detaches from the head and goes to the next cell that's infected. So the killer lymphocyte is much more effective than an antibody. It kills many, many cells that are infected by the same virus, but it will always rise only that virus for which it's trained. And so you have a whole army of killer lymphocytes that...
Okay, guys, wait a minute. Has he just literally inferred what I said to you earlier about chickenpox and my mom? Like, literally. I feel like he's about to tell us that, truthfully, the only way to really develop a herd immunity to a virus is to let the virus run its course in humanity. That way, when the virus enters into our system, our immune system fights it. When it fights it and wins, it gets the blueprint. Let me explain it differently than what he did in case it went over some people's heads. Because I know it could go over mine. I'm pretty short. I'm like 4'11", 4'10". Okay. So literally, listen. Your immune system is like... It's like, I would say an army that's capable of having a 3D printer, per se. And your immune system has weapons. A new virus comes in that it's never fought before. You're going to be tired. You're definitely going to be tired when you pass that virus through. Your immune system is fighting with weapons that are actually not created for this new virus. But when your immune system wins, and with a positive mindset, good emotions, which help the immune system, with your positive mindset, you can help your immune system beat a new virus. And when it does, it takes its 3D printer capability and it starts deciphering the code inside of the virus's gene. Okay? And when it does, It then puts it through its 3D printer and creates new weapons of mass destruction for any viruses that are along that strain. And it doesn't matter how many times it mutates. If it gone through your natural immune system, it has blueprint codes for every mutation that virus could ever take, because it's all built into its genetics. Just like you might have blue eyes and blonde hair, but in your genetics there is a code that could have given you brown eyes and brown hair, but it didn't. And brown eyes and brown hair are a dominant gene, while blue and blonde are recessive. The weaker weapons in the immune system, if you want to use the analogy that way. But we got blonde hair and blue-eyed people out here. Well, then that means also that genetically speaking, your immune system is capable of downloading all the blueprints necessary to fight off any more versions of that virus you fought and won against. The problem with the vaccine is this. Besides it not being tested, all right? A vaccine, this is why you have to keep getting your flu shots every year, guys. Because a flu shot or the COVID vaccine, it won't let your immune system actually do battle with the enemy. Instead, it goes to kill the enemy if it does, okay? It'll go to kill the enemy, and it gives you the blueprint for only that particular mutation. But then you got people out there that get the flu, and maybe they forgot to get their flu shot this year, and it's a whole new strain because it mutates. This is what viruses do. It's in their genetic code. We call it mutating, but real life, like when a human being changes their attitude or their thinking, is that a mutation or is that an evolution? So, first of all, let's stop thinking mutation. Viruses are living creatures, in my opinion, just like a bacteria. Scientists may not believe that, but they have shown intelligence. Lots of intelligence. So, given that, they don't mutate. They evolve. And unless it goes through your immune system on a natural basis, your immune system won't evolve with it. So if you get a flu shot and somebody else around you comes down with the flu next year because they forgot to get their flu shot, even if you got next year's flu shot, you may still get it. You might. Because the truth is that the flu shot only has that particular mutation. And a virus can mutate in multiple ways at once. So the person who gets the flu shot and actually comes down with the flu because they got near somebody who had the flu, well, that's because they got a different evolution strain than what doctors have the flu shot for. Okay, I know that might have sounded like really just all over the place. But the point is, if you don't let bacterium and virus go through your system on a natural course and let your body fight it the way it's meant to, and you feed your body with the right foods, and you feed your mind with the right thoughts, and you feed your heart with the right emotions, unless you do that, you will be susceptible to viruses. You will be susceptible to bacterial infections. You will be susceptible to even hypochondriac brought on illness, psychosomatic illness. We can make ourselves sick by worrying. They give you a bunch of symptoms to focus on. You focus on them. What do you think you're going to do? Haven't you ever heard of the doctors who go to medical school? They start studying the journals and they start actually feeling and believing that they're coming down with some of these illnesses that they've read about. This is psychosomatic illness. And the government knows that that's possible. Very much so. They're the ones that labeled the word hypochondriac. Now what they're doing is bringing out the hypochondriac in every one of us. They give us symptoms, so we'll focus on them. And guess what, guys? Whether you believe it or not, the law of attraction exists. And you draw those symptoms right to you. Your brain will create what you focus on. You want love, but your focus is mostly on nobody likes me. You're never going to find love. It's true. As long as you're focused on how people don't like you, you won't have a social life. Why? Because it's energy. Viruses have energy. Bacteria have energy. You have energy. My voice has energy. And what's going on is that all of this is just one big energy transference game. It's a game. And the government is playing it too. And they're playing it against you. You don't have to believe me. But listen to this guy. He's pro-vaccine. And if you can't hear no from a pro-vaccine guy, then you guys really need to take a serious, hard look at where your mindset is. Because your stubbornness is going to kill you faster than any COVID or HIV or typhoid or whatever. It's your mind that will kill you, not this physical world.
Recognize garbage created by coronaviruses. Now, this COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 virus is labeled a new virus, but in fact it isn't. It isn't any newer than, let's say, if a child is born onto you.
Did I just say that? Like 20 minutes ago. Didn't I just tell you there is nothing new about COVID? Nothing new. There you go.
It's a new human, yes, but it's still a human. And so that human looks like you and me. And you see, the new SARS-CoV-2, the waste products of that SARS-CoV-2 look very similar to the waste products of the old virus. And all of you have been constantly going into battle, into fights with all these coronaviruses that have been around all the time. And so you can bet your life that you have killer lymphocytes that recognize this waste of the new coronavirus. Now, we wrote this in our book, and we said we believe that is why it is so damn difficult to die of this virus, all right? Am I being clear? Have I made myself completely clear?
I can tell you right now, the audience is typing in and they're blown away because this is, I'm learning something right now. This is what I love about this show. It's hard to understand these things, right? Like, we don't get it. You've been looking at this your whole life. But again, and you helped me understand something, because I was talking to a top virologist recently explaining exactly this. We don't know what antibodies actually have to do with this. We're seeing people that are in amongst infected people. They should be getting it. They appear to be fighting it off easily, but they're not having antibodies. That there may not be antibody production, yet something in their bodies is fighting this illness. And you're saying it very well could be this killer lymphocyte.
Of course. Of course. This is how the immune system works against viruses that don't kill you. That's why we can coexist with the viruses, and that's what you have your killer lymphocytes for. in the first immunology lecture, I would ask my students, they would all be sitting there, with their mouths open, what do you think your killer lymphocytes kill? And everyone said, I think they kill the bacteria, the bugs. And I said, that's exactly the wrong answer. That if you give me that answer in the exam, I'm going to fail you. Okay? Killer lymphocytes kill your cells that are infected, and they also kill tumors, to recognize tumor cells. All right, now, but anyway, because, by the way, the waste of the tumor cells looks a bit different from the waste of the normal cells. I'm not going to tumor cells now. So let's go back to this damn virus. It's not new. We wrote in a German book that we thought, and that was back in May, that was the reason why people did not get seriously ill and people did not die. Now, after our German book had appeared in June, 4 weeks later, a string of papers appeared in the literature that said what we thought was reality, because many groups showed that whoever you tested, whether in America, whether in Sweden, whether in Germany, you could take lymphocytes from people, blood that had been taken before 2019, before this virus was born, all right? And they tested these lymphocytes to see whether those lymphocytes would recognize the waste of the new virus. And lo and guys, what do you think they found? Yes. And the biggest study was in Tübingen, Germany.
See, it ain't new.
This blessed country. And they showed that 80% of the normal Germans, young Germans, who had never ever seen COVID-19 because it didn't exist at that time, the blood samples had been taken back in 2014, 15, 16, 17. Can you imagine that? Let
me ask you a question, and I'm going to out myself. And again, folks, I've always said I'm not a doctor. I'm a journalist trying to understand this with the rest of you, asking real questions. I've seen articles about cross-reactive T-cell immunity. Is this lymphocyte, is that the same thing we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, precisely. Now, there are people who say, yeah, they do cross-react, but we don't know whether they're responsible for immunity. I say, okay, of course we don't know for certain, but it's damn probable, because this is how immunity works. Why should they recognize it and not do anything about it? Why should they?
Right.
That's what they're born to do. Okay, so, but this is it. And you see, some people come and tell me, but they found it in only 50 to 80% of the individuals running around in the blood samples. Then I'm going to tell you, okay, that over 90% of your lymphocytes are not in your blood at this moment. And if you draw your blood, okay, you'll be missing over 90%, because over 90% are in your lymph nodes, spleen, liver, whatever you want, but not in the blood. So if 80% of you guys running around have these lymphocytes already in your blood, which is less than 10% of the lymphocytes, you can bet your life that the other 20% also have them in their spleen and lymph nodes, and I'm ready to bet my life on this, because there are indirect, very clear signs that this is the case, you see. The big danger about this vaccine is you are shooting the gene of the virus into your body. It's going to go through the body and go to entering cells that you don't know. These cells are going to start making not the whole virus, but virus protein. And these cells are going to put the waste of that spike protein in front of their cells. And the killer lymphocytes will see the waste. And, anyone who doesn't understand that there's going to be an auto attack because the killer lymphocytes are already there, excuse me, it's with this that I will say bye-bye, because you don't realize that what you're going to do is you are going to plant the seed of autoimmune reactions. And I tell you, for Christmas, don't do this. The dear Lord did not want humans, not even Fauci, to go around injecting foreign genes into the body, because the dear Lord made these killer lymphocytes for you to see the cells that are daring to make this, all right?
Oh, wow. A doctor just got religious, man. He just brought God up into this. I'm not used to that, guys. Honestly, I'm not used to hearing a doctor who's not on a Christian program to bring God into his conversation or her conversation. Like, when you are on a secular public platform and you're one of them doctors, you don't do that. That's something they don't do. Like, science and God, even though they look like they should mix, people want to keep them separate. Especially in mainstream, well, this isn't mainstream media, but it's still secular. It's still secular. It's not Christian-based media. He's bringing God up into this. He's like, guys, God did not intend this. Like, we must be doing something seriously unnatural for a doctor to come onto a secular program and actually begin preaching toward the end of his interview. I mean, that is kind of preaching. It's not preachy, but it is preaching. I've never seen that. I'm sorry. Maybe some of you have, but that's a new one on me. My mind is morphed.
I made myself completely clear.
Yes. Yeah, quite terrifying, and I think as clear as I've ever heard it stated.
Horrifying.
You are a great teacher.
It's horrifying.
It is. I want to thank you for that. We will continue to have you on and teach us more about this as we enter the new year. I'm sure this story is not going away. Thank you again. As I said to Vladimir Zelenko, I said at the top of the show, I want to celebrate the people that are not looking the other way just because some authoritarian figure or health department is saying we all need to get behind this. You are stepping up and attempting to save people's lives and attempting to educate us so we know what it is really happening here. So thank you so much, Dr. Shukrit Bhakti, for taking the time.
Welcome. God bless you.
God bless you too. If you like that clip, then be sure to check out our live broadcast of The High Wire every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific time. You can watch it on Facebook.
That was interesting. It got censored at the point when he was about... You can watch it on Facebook and YouTube. They censored that. Weird. Alright, guys. So, I really want to know what you think. I know I talked a lot throughout the middle of this. You probably may have to backtrack where I'm monologuing so that you can hear where the guy was talking and then pick back up. Sorry about that. I just get all these thoughts in my head and I gotta get them out. You know, my brain just doesn't want to stop and the thoughts get pressing and sometimes I'll forget them. And so I just, pause the video, talk to you, knowing that you can pause the video and backtrack if you need to. So let me know what you think in the comments. Personally, he said everything that I had already felt inside. Basically, he was just confirming for me what I already innately knew. But the fact that it's coming from somebody who is pro-vaccine, that's important to me. Because I'm hearing now from the other end of the fence. And when the other end of the fence is saying, be careful, watch out for this, and they're usually people who would back something like this, that really, it just acts more as a red flag, more red tape, brighter red lights, louder sirens to me, than people like myself who are against vaccines, and were biased. And so, when I'm listening to people like me talking about the vaccines, I'm really not gaining a new perspective. or a valuable one, because I already hold the perspective, and they already hold the perspective, and we're already preaching to the preached to. You know what I mean? But when I hear it from a person who is not on my end of the bias scale, who actually advocates for vaccines, who teaches about vaccines, who is a doctor and prescribes these vaccines, when I hear someone like that say the same perspective as me, even though it's the same perspective, it still hits me differently for some reason, because I know that we literally stand on opposite sides of the fence and we're agreeing on the same thing. When those times happen in life, guys, those are rare moments. I call those when God and the devil agree, it must be. When two opposing forces come together and meet in the middle and say, yeah, we agree on that one, you might want to take a look at it too. And if you don't, what comes into your life, I'm sorry, I tried to warn you, but it's no longer on me or anyone else. That's on you. This is Mystikal-Lee signing off from Mind Morph. Peace. Merry Christmas.